a 49 million rand building purchase by the Construction, Education and Training Authority has been flagged as irregular by the Auditor-General. This comes as a CETA CEO Malusi Shezi told the members of Parliament that the deal had received the green light from National Treasury. This is according to a report yesterday. The flagged transaction has raised concerns about the compliance and oversight within the authority. For more on this, we are now joined by the CEO of the Construction, Education and Training Authority, Malusi Shezi, to share some insights on the purchase of this multi-million rand building. And he now joins us in studio. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. So we saw the papers yesterday and the report that they had. Your response, especially to the allegation that is being made, that one, Treasury actually didn't give this deal the green light.
Thank you, Adrian. Maybe before I answer that question, we need to put a fundamental issue on the table. One, that says there is a finding and a report from the AG that has flagged this transaction as irregular. That on its own is fundamentally flawed, in the sense that the writer of that story even contacted the office of the AG, who confirmed, and also after we heard there was a report, which as CETA we do not have. There is no draft, there is no final report. The AG itself, the senior manager who was in engagement on this assignment, did confirm to that journalist that the audit is ongoing, there is no such a report. So at this stage, as to who has flagged it, only the journalist who wrote that story knows. But it talks to the issue of disrespecting a Chapter 9 institution, which is in the Auditor-General in this case, whereby all the reports of the AG are communicated by an engagement manager who's authorized to do so. Even us as the auditors, as the CETA, we cannot go public and communicate the AG's reports. And also at the same time, it's a disrespect to the professionals of this country. One, the transaction is above board. It complied with all the regulatory requirements when you're buying such an asset in the public sector. We got the approval that is prescribed by Section 54 of the PFMA from the minister concerned, who had initially issued a directive that for us as an institution to save the cost, we must consider owning our properties rather than renting them. And Section 54 of the PFMA is very clear that when you are about to do that, you must inform your relevant treasury, in our case, the National Treasury, and then you must get approval from the Executive Authority. The Executive Authority did approve. We informed Treasury twice. We wrote to the DG of the Treasury. We wrote to the Office of the Procurement Office when we received the approval from the Minister. And the email that comes from the officials at the Office of the Chief Procurement Office was given to the journalists is very clear, saying, you are saying you are deviating for other reasons, and the reasons have been approved by the board, so Treasury has no further thing to say on this.
Yeah, but was there communication between yourself as well as Treasury?
There was, more than once.
And what's the nature of that communication?
One, first is the notification that CETA is going to purchase a significant asset in a building of this value. And then after the minister had approved that request of the CETA to purchase such a building, we had to write now to ask that we deviate from a competitive process on the basis of Treasury 16A 6.4 and in terms of the SCM instruction note 3 of 2021, which is very clear that if we can't follow a competitive process, either for emergency or sole supply or for other reasons, our records was very clear when it went to Treasury that we are deviating for other reasons because the building has been offered to us as a tenant when the landlord was deciding to emigrate from South Africa. Yeah. And we're already there midway of on our 5-year lease agreement.
All right, and we'll come back to that. In the Sunday Times article, there's reference to a draft by the Auditor-General's management report to CETA. And I just quickly want to read it as well. It says that the resolution by the CETA board to approve the deviation did not indicate how the criteria as required by Treasury supply chain management instruction was met, and there was no indication that the transaction met any of the circumstances that would justify a deviation in terms of the applicable supply chain management policy relating to sole source, a single source or multiple sourcing emergency or urgency were present. You know about that draft?
As I indicated at the beginning, we have not seen such a draft. We called the Office of the Auditor-General. They denied that there is ever such a draft. If somebody leaked something, because in that story start with that they are referring to a leaked documentation, it means there is another official of the AG that is either leaking it or a CETA official. But on record, we do not have a management report, either a draft or a final one. As we speak, the audit is still ongoing.
But was there an issue that has been flagged by the Auditor-General?
I would believe that there would have been a query, like in any audit. You ask questions, you get supplied with supporting documentation.
What's the nature of that query?
I haven't seen it. I'm having a meeting with the AG at 1 o'clock today, and this is my bundle that got all the reasons, got all the evidence coming from National Treasury and the reasons why we had to deviate, which was the reason why Treasury, when respondents responded with a 2-line sentence because they understood what they had read.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere where CETA has said there was an emergency situation. There's nowhere CETA said was following a sole supplier because there are so many property owners out there. But it was for other exceptional circumstances and reasons, which are well documented.
So this would have been the first time that you've heard that the Auditor-General has an issue with the procurement of this building?
We heard it from the journalist when they sent us questions.
Yeah. Okay. Then on the issue around the single source, explain to us, so the building has been leased by CETA, we understand, and then the property owner then says to CETA that we're giving you guys exclusive rights to purchase this building. Does that not refer to sole supply?
No.
Okay, explain.
Sole supply is defined in terms of Treasury regulations. It's whereby in a country you got only one supplier who supply that good or that commodity. For property, there are more than one property owners. It can never be a sole supplier situation. And in our reasons, in all our documents that went to the minister, went to Treasury, there is no such quotation that we are sourcing through a sole supplier, because we'll be lying if we say that. And somebody who reference that indicates that they do not understand the regulation. Yeah. There are 3 reasons that you can deviate on. It's emergency, sole supplier, or for other reasons. And us is clear, it's for other reasons.
For other reasons. And those reasons, amongst others, including?
You have been offered, you are already renting the building. It's offered to you exclusively at half than its market price, and it's going to take your rental cost significantly down, which was also, it coincided with the instruction from the minister that we should consider, because for the past 10 years, we're exceeding the regulatory thresholds of the 10.5% that CETA should not exceed. And then as a result, every year we had to go to the minister to ask for permission to exceed the threshold so that we cannot have irregular expenditure. Then the minister did an analysis that these people actually should be owning their own asset to reduce these costs they keep on mourning about. It was luck for the government and the CETA that the owner, at the same time when the minister wrote in March 2023 that consider buying your own, the owner also was considering selling that building that we were renting. Then he gave that exclusive offer, say, CETA, are you interested? And I'm going to give this one to you at this amount, which, if you look at the history of that building, at some point was on the market for 120 million. And then for him to come and say, CETA, I'm going to give it to you for 45 million was a bargain to start with. Then we took that letter to the board, plus the indication from the owner and the reasons. We did the preliminary analysis internally, which showed that indeed we're going to save the cost. I can tell you today that that was the right decision, in the sense that from the rental that we're paying 6.7 million per annum. And after we own the building, our cost of utilities and rate has gone down to 2.3 million. We have saved the government almost 3.9 million, which is the money that can be used to further the skills mandate of the CETA. And the market value that we talk about for that building was done by independent valuers, the experts. That's why even on Friday, the AG senior manager confirmed there's no such an issue, because they have engaged their own independent expert to do the market value of that building, and theirs approximate the experts that was used by the CETA, so the values are closely aligned. Yeah, but
which is different from the one that is relied on by the report, which is the municipal evaluation.
That one shocked all the property practitioners in this country. Some are even discussed that even your own residential property, when you sell it, you do not use a municipal valuation. And there's no commercial transaction which you'll find in this country and anywhere in the world where you use such. You use an independent one based on an income-generating ability of an asset and looking into the future and discounting it using the appropriate discounting factor. And this guy went and pulled that one. We don't know what he pulled. Nevertheless, even if he was arguing that maybe we're misstating something, he's saying it's 52 million and the selling price is 49. It's still below the market value.
Yeah.
So the principle doesn't
just quickly,
go away.
Mr. Shezi, in conclusion, would this be the same building that was at the center of a controversy relating to your suspension?
I was
last
suspended.
Yeah. But there was, I understand that there was a board meeting that had taken place and there was an intention to suspend.
In my understanding, remember, I have not seen that. I saw it flying in the media headlines.
Yeah.
And even that letter, I have not seen it up to today.
And you've been attending board meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tells you a story.
So you were saying but?
But the allegation to say there's an issue with the building, we have heard internally at CETA, but we relied on the records we have that we have followed all the steps of the process. And yes, there was somebody when we leased this building who took us to court and later withdraw that case, and they had to pay the owner of the building. They are yet to pay the CETA cost because it was proven there was no case. They were just taking chances. So allegation will always be there because it is a contestation of opportunities in the public sector. If this one doesn't win, we'll throw in an allegation, an accusation of one or two.
Malusi Shezi, thank you so much for making time for us, the CEO of CETA around the procurement of the building, and this was one of the reports in the Sunday Times yesterday.